Ooh, what's up guys, how's it going? It's Tuesday again, and so we're going to be starting looking at the perks again. So the first perk we're looking at is for Killer, Eruption. After kicking a generator, its aura is highlighted in yellow. Whenever a survivor enters the dying state, every affected generator explodes, losing 6% worth of progression and continuing to regress. Any survivor repairing the generator when it explodes will scream and suffer the incapacitated status effect for 16 seconds. Eruption then has a 30-second cooldown. So, overall, this perk isn't horrible. It's not the best. It's not as powerful as a couple of other gen regression. Yes, it can possibly affect other generators, but for this perk to be good, you need to combine it with several other perks. So you're running an entire build around just Eruption going off, and the regression percentage for Eruption isn't very high. It's only 6%. And then it has a cooldown after it's triggered, before you can kick a generator again. Main weaknesses with Eruption is mainly having to kick the gen. You waste so much time kicking the gen. If you're chasing a smart survivor, stopping to kick the gen to apply Eruption pretty much is going to lose you that chase, because it's going to add probably at least another 20 seconds onto your chase, because you have to stop, kick it, and then catch up to them again. Of course, if there's a survivor around the generator you kick, then it's not that bad, because you get to go from kicking the gen into another chase immediately. But if there isn't one, and you're kicking the gen to apply Eruption, and then chasing the survivor that you were chasing, or if you decide to leave that survivor and look for another one, you're possibly wasting a lot of time, which is really really not a good thing for Killer, because unlike Survivor, Killer, you have to time manage very well. You have to make sure that you are benefiting something for every second of the game you're playing. Because if you're wasting time just walking around looking for a survivor, that's time that they're not getting chased. They're not getting pushed off of generators. So, and the longer it takes for a chase, it's the same thing. So, if you don't find a survivor immediately and you go after the survivor you were chasing, you're adding an extra 20 seconds that survivor's on a gen. So, the time it took for you to go to a generator, kick it, and then catch up with the survivor you were chasing, minimum, another generator just got progressed 25%. So, though this perk isn't that bad, it's not good enough, I would suggest, for a new survivor to get, being as there are much better gen regression perks than Eruption, and that don't require entire builds to make work. Like, I played against a few killers running Eruption, and their gen pressure with Eruption isn't. It also has the same weakness of the Scorch Hook. If you're not holding the generator, you don't scream. So if you think survivor's about to get down, you just let go of the generator, it explodes, and then you go back to working on it. So overall, not the worst perk, but it's not anywhere near good enough that I would suggest as a new survivor getting, unless you want to play Nemesis, because then you're going to be leveling up Nemesis anyway. But there's better perks to get other than Eruption. So, something we could do to really, without going away from it, I don't think Eruption deserves a cooldown, especially at 6% of a regression. I'd say I think we should increase it the same percentage as the Scorch Hook of 15, because the reward for the risk you take isn't high enough to. The risk you take is higher than the reward you get for using Eruption. Yes, you don't have to hook the survivor to trigger Eruption, but you still have to chase and down the survivor and have kicked generators. You waste more time than the reward you gain. He is incapacitated. It keeps him from working on the gen for a little bit, but it's not that bad. So, do I suggest getting it? No. I don't suggest as a new survivor to get it. A new killer player, killer, to get it. It's not worth it. Again, I honestly don't think it deserves a cooldown, and it should have an increased percentage. If maybe 15's too much to have it on multiple gens, but I'd say at least 10% regression, at least. 6% isn't high enough to make Eruption worth using versus any of the other gen regression perks. Or not any of them, but some of them. Like there's other gen regression perks that are worse than Eruption, but Eruption still is not the best. If you guys have any ideas, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.